श्रीमान वेंकटनाथार्य कवितार्किक केसरी वेदांताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदाहृति श्रीवासरंगपरकालमुनित्रयाप्तलक्ष्मात्मरक्षणदित्युगागमान्तम् आचार्यभक्तिपरिपूतमनर्गशीलं गोपालदेशिकमुनिं गुरुमाश्रयामः। पराशरमुनिं वन्दे कथपौर्वान्निकक्रियं मैत्रेयपरिपप्रच्छ प्रणिपद्याभिवाद्य च. So we have been enjoying sage Parashara's beautiful narration of the entire Vishnu Puranam to sage Maitreya, who is one of his Shishya, the prime disciple of sage Parashara. And sage Parashara, as requested by sage Maitreya, politely, respectfully, he has been clarifying several questions and queries and doubts raised by sage Maitreya. Now he has touched upon the annikam, the daily rituals, and the anushtanam, how one needs to spend the day and how one needs to perform the dharma anushtanams, the dharma karyams, and how one needs to get up in the morning, perform the morning ablutions, rituals, right from brushing the teeth, right from taking bath, right from wearing the veshti, the clothing, how one needs to cleanse oneself of the body, of the mind, of the utensils, of the bhumi, bhuta shuddhi, and how one needs to collect the materials for puja, the Aradhanam, and how one needs to perform the Aradhanam, how one can teach the Shishyas, the Bhagavatas, whatever little that they know, and how one can learn from his Guru what the Guru teaches, and how one should spend after the post-lunch session, how one should spend the evenings, and how one needs to go to bed contemplating the lotus feet of Perumal. So beautifully it has been laid out by sage Parashara as the annikam, the anushtanam. And of course the acharyas, the rishis have been following in accordance with the shastrams, the scriptures. And this is not sage Parashara's concocted imagination, fantasy. It is as prescribed in Vedantams, as beautifully taught by his grandparent, sage Vasishta, and as narrated to sage Maitreya, as narrated to sage Vyasa, which has been coming down the ages. And even Bhagavat Ramanuja, as I explained, wrote a grantham called Nitya Grantham, where he talks about the entire daily rituals of the devotee. And the following acharyas of Bhagavat Ramanuja also detailed exhaustively, extensively, writing the minutest detail, because the devil is in the details. The micro detail they wrote, how one needs to adhere to the shastras and how one needs to behave, not only physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, how one needs to behave performing the daily rituals. And also they talk about the Shraddham, they talk about the Vivaham, they talk about the various samskarams, the Upanayanam, the Pumsavana Simandam, everything they cover. And after Ramanuja came 200 years later, Swami Vedanta Desika. Vedanta Desika also wrote very many works on these aspects as well. How one needs to wear the tilak, why one should wear the tilak, what's the benefit, how does it purify us, everything has been detailed. One should not have the forehead empty. It has to be adorned with their respective dharma, kula, varnashrama dharma. So it needs to be adorned with either the Tiruman Sri Churnam or with the vibhuti, whatever that your parents or guru have taught you, have initiated you with. So there is a beautiful sloka, stotra, written by Vedanta Desika's son, Swami Kumara Varadacharya. His son's name was Kumara Varadacharya, named after the Lord Kanchi Varathan. He is also called Nayanacharya, and he wrote a stotram called Vedanta Desika Dinacharya Stotram. The Vedanta Desika Dinacharya Stotram. It is not Vaishnava Dinachari written by Vedanta Desika. Vaishnava Dinachari is the day of a Vaishnava written by Vedanta Desika. How one should get up saying Hari 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 Hari, and then how one should spend the day. He wrote. Now his son wrote how Vedanta Desika, his illustrious father, the great Acharya, unparalleled, how he conducted himself in a day. He wrote so beautifully, pictorially narrated, and which itself is a role model, is an example for us to emulate, at least 1/1,000,000th of it. At least. So he says, and it is very inspiring. He says, I bow to Sri Venkatanatha. The Vedanta Desika's original name, given name by parents, is Venkatanatha. I bow to Sri Venkatanatha, whose avatara sthalam, the place of his birth, was Kanchi, and his vasasthalam, the place of residence, was Srirangam, and his Leela sthalam, the place of his sport, where he wrote works, was Tirumalai, the Tirupati. My salutations to Swami Vedanta Desika, who considered flattery as Kalakuta Visham, as a poison. He considers the flattery as the poison. He hates flattery. Nobody can come and praise him. And my salutations to Swami Desika, who considers the royal palace, the creature comfort, as Narakam, hell. He used to live in a small hut. He used to live like a everyday, day-to-day expense he would just have. He would just go for bhiksha every day and collect only the rice which is required for that day food. That's all. He won't gather for 1 week for lockdown, heaps and heaps of grains he would not store. Today's, that's all. Tomorrow we will see. And Swami leaves his nidra for yoga nidra. He finishes his nidra, the sleep, during the third yamam of the night, means around 3:30, 4 o'clock. Before that, he wakes up and mella எழுந்த ஹரி என்ற பேரரவம், Hari Hari, Hari Hari, Hari Hari, Harihi. 7 times he utters the Hari Nama, and being in the bed, he doesn't get up, spring up from the bed, and in a panic mode, oh my God, the alarm has rung, I have got things to do. Nothing like that. He just gets up peacefully, calmly, because the Antaryami, the indweller, is also inside the cavity of his heart. So he cannot get up in a forcible manner. Otherwise it would hurt Perumal, the Antaryami. So he gets up slowly, and then he sits on his bed. Being in the bed, he remembers the Guru Parampara, the Acharya Parampara, his Acharyan's Acharyan, Guru's Guru, the entire Guru Parampara, the lineage. He just contemplates, and he recites the stotrams, the Ramanuja's Gadyam, like that, on Srimad Narayana, that praises the Narayana's Gunams, his Gunam Vatsalyam, his Gunam Saulabhyam, his Gunam Saushilyam, Swamitvam. All that gunas are being contemplated by Vedanta Desika on the Lord Srimad Narayana. Then he gets up, walks to the river Kaveri, which is in Srirangam, and offers the morning ablution, Snanam. He dips inside the Kaveri, after wearing the clean clothes and adorns his forehead with Urdhva Pundram, the Trimansi Chunam, Swami does his Sandhya Vandanam. And he in the open and with a Ekagra Manas, with an unflinching, unvacillating mind, focus, concentration, he does the Gayatri Japam, facing the direction of the east, the sun. He does the Upasthanam after the sunrise. After Gayatri Japam, the Upasthanam after the sunrise. Means he gets up at 3 a.m., he goes to the Kaveri river, takes bath, adorns, wears his clothes, adorns Urdhva Pundram, then performs Sandhya Vandanam, finishes the Sandhya Vandanam with Upasthanam at sunrise, after the sunrise. Means he must be doing some 1008 Gayatri Japam every time. We cannot do even 10. Anyway, that's a pity. Then he completes the offer. He completes the offering of Nitya Karmas, the Adhara Shaktyadi Tarpanam, Kandarishi, Devarishi Kandarishi Tarpanam, Brahma Yajnam. All that he finishes and proceeds to the temple. There he offers his prayer to the Lord's lotus feet, Lord Ranganathan, Sri Rangam. And after obtaining the Tirtha Prasadam from the priest, Swami arrives at his Kalakshepa Mandapam, where there is a Mandapam. There are very many Sishyas, the disciples eagerly await him for him to teach. There in simple Tamil, in simple Sanskrit, he explains the Vedantams, the Upanishadic truths. He used to treat his Sishyas. His son says that he used to treat his Sishyas like his own children, affectionate, caring, loving, make sure that everybody, each one of them understands the tough, the difficult to understand Vedantic truth in a simple manner. Then his Sishyas do Bhikshadanam for him. Swami uses the materials offered by the Sishyas for the Bhagavad Tiruvaradanam. All this so beautifully narrated by his own son. After spending some time with his Sishyas, teaching and instructing them, Vedanta Desika proceeds to do the Aradhanam of his Perumal. In his Perumal Sannadhi, he has a Vigraham, Hayagrivan and the Varadan. So he performs the Tiruvaradhanam of our Lord Varadan. We will talk about it in a couple of minutes. Swami does Aradhanam with vessels, mostly wooden vessels. Mostly wooden, because he does not use silver, he does not use copper, he does not use gold, because he was living in abject poverty. He chose to live in that poverty. Because with his Sri Stuti, the Stotram on Mahalakshmi, there was a showering of gold coins in front of the Mahalakshmi Sannidhi. When a brahmachari came and asked Vedanta Desika for the money, for material to get married, he said, come with me. So he went to Tayar Sannidhi, and then and there he composed Sri Stuti. And when he finished Sri Stuti, there was a shower of gold coin from Mahalakshmi. And he did not want to say 50-50. He said, take whatever you want. He just walked back home empty-handed. He had the propensity to make showering of gold coin, but he chose to remain poor because his aim was spiritual wealth. And Swami does Aradhanam with wooden utensils, and because the thieves will not find it worth to even steal them. In the fourth yama of the day, Swami is busy writing works. He wrote 120 works in his lifetime. Nataka Grantham, Kavya Grantham, Raksha Grantham, Rakasya Grantham, Stotra Grantham, Tamil works. Very many works he wrote. And he wrote works that will help defending the Sanatana Dharma, defending our religion from the onslaughts of other Shunyavadis, the Buddhism and Jainism and all of them. After doing his evening Sandhyavandanam, Swami spends more time with his Sishyas, teaching them Vishnu Sahasranamam and praying to Kuladevam Lord Varada. He recites the Divya Prabandham and other slokas on Varadan. Once again, he spends time with his disciples clarifying doubts on Veda Vedantam and the Ragasyarthams. And after seating the Perumal and the Tayar in the lotus of his heart after dinner, Swami with Ekagra Chintanam, with a non-vacillating mind, proceeds to his bed. He keeps remembering the glories of Perumal and proceeds to enjoy unison with the Jivatma, with the Paramatma, and proceeds to enjoy the Yoga Nidra. He composed in it, we just had Amalanadipiran, Tiruppanalvar, describing the beauty from the Tiruvadi to Tirumudi, from the tip of the toe to the cup of the crown. Alvar sang. Similarly, Vedanta Desika also sang 12 verses on Lord Ranganatha called Bhagavad Dhyana Sopanam. Bhagavad Dhyana Sopanam. What a beautiful way he has titled it. So, he enjoys being unison with the Lord in the Yoga Nidra. Once again, at 3 a.m. Chirka, Swami wakes up without an alarm, starts a fresh and blissful day in Bhagavata Kainkaryam. And his son says, I bow again and again to the Mahapurusha. We also wish that we were Swami's one of the disciples. But unfortunately, we are now who we are. So, I was talking about the Tiruvaradhanam. The Tiruvaradhanam of the whatever the puja that we do, whether it is 10 minutes or half an hour or 1 hour or 5 minutes, whatever time that we have in our possibility, whatever that we have in our hands, we should do and perform Tiruvaradhanam. It is a tradition to recite the mantra pushpam in the as part of the Tiruvaradhanam during Bhagavaradhanam. Agnime ele purohitam. So there are 6 asanas or seats offered to Perumal during Tiruvaradhanam, as beautifully narrated by Acharyas. One is Mantrasanam. After waking up Perumal with Kausalya Suprajarama and with Tirupalli Ezhuchi, Kadiravan Gunadisai Shigaram Vandanaindan, Emperuman Palli Elundarulaye, politely we ask him to wake up and we request the Lord be present for the Tiruvaradhanam, for the worship. Just when a prince walks into our house, how we place the seat, how we request him to be seated, how we honor him, like that the mantrasana, requesting the Lord be present for the worship. Then Snanasana, second, we give a ceremonial bathing of Perumal. It can be the Shaligrama Shila that we have, because Shaligrama Shila, Sriman Narayana or Mahavishnu houses himself, enshrines himself in each of the Shaligramam. It is completely pure and it is sacred. So ceremonial bathing needs to be offered to Perumal, and one can recite Purusha Suktam if they know the Pancha Suktams, or at least the Stotram, whatever Stotram that one knows, or the Mantram which the Guru has taught. Then after ceremonial bathing, we give the Vastram, we clothe the Perumal with Pitambaram, we adorn him with jewelry. It's not necessary that you need to have the actual clothing and the actual jewelry. It can be just an enactment. It can be just a token, just a symbolic version. So adorning with flowers, offering ornaments, offering incense, the dhupam, the deepam, the sandalwood, chandanam, all that is alankarasana. So first is mantrasanam, then snanasanam, then alankarasana, then bhojyasanam, offering of whatever that we cooked, not the one which we took away from the restaurant. Whatever that we cooked, the rice or the curd or the milk, whatever that we have cooked after taking our bath, not while brushing our teeth we put the cooker and we made food, not that way. It has to be after our bath. And this bhojyasanam is offering of that food which was cooked by us after our bathing, and that food with the respective ghee and tulasi leaves we have to offer to Perumal. All done with a pure intention, thoughts, because Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. You offer me a leaf, a water, a flower, I would accept with happiness. I would be pleased to accept. But it has to be done with devotion. All that he wants is the thought. That's what it counts. And this, after the bhojyasanam, the offering of food, punar mantrasanam, then recite, praise him. Praise after his food, make him seated again back to his place, and where you can recite Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram, you can recite the Tirupavai, the Pasurams, the songs, Kirtanas, whatever for the Lord's enjoyment. He has got the entire lifetime time. He is in no rush to go. We are in a rush to go to some useless things outside. So you take whatever time that you have with at your convenience, finish reciting the stotrams. If not, give at least one sloka praising him. Then you perform the namavali, Keshavaya Namaha, Narayana Namaha, Madhavaya Namaha. Whatever that you do for Achamanam, we can recite then. Then after all this, Paryankasanam, conclusion of the Tiruvaradanam, conclusion of the puja, the worship, requesting Perumal to go back to Yoga Nidra and seeking forgiveness for any apacharam committed. Because in the name of upacharam, in the name of puja, in the name of Aradhanam, we would have committed very many blunders in between. We would have committed with so much of impurity, so much of duracharam. We would have done several things against Shastras, even during Tiruvaradhanam. We do always, but even during that puja, we would have done several. We would have sneezed, we would have touched, we would have done, I don't want to say and commit papams. So, for that we seek forgiveness. We seek his forgiveness at the end of the Tiruvaradhanam. Please forgive for all the apacharam that we committed. And perform namaskaram and calmly, without any noise, close the sannidhi and leave respectfully. We cannot bang, close the door and say, move. And we should not do that as a ritual, as a like we do any other thing. It should be done with preeti, love, affection. That's more important than the actual doing. So after offering gandham, the fragrance, the dhupam, deepam, during alankarasana, we can recite the Vedas, the mantra pushpam, all that. So the intent here is the Tiruvaradhanam needs to be done at least the head of the family, by the head of the family. And all the other members can kind of help by doing, by cleaning, by cooking, by drawing kolam, by lighting the lamp, by organizing things, by bringing water, by washing the utensils of the Tiruvaradhanam. Everything can be done because the head of the family need not run around collecting everything. Others can also help. And after when they recite stotrams, they can join. So that's what is essential. Now, why the acharyas and alvars place so much on this puja, on this Bhagavat Kainkaryam, on the Archa Tirumeni? Because Archa, like what we have in Shaligramam, or the Sannidhi, or the little Vigraham that we have in our house, or even in the temple, the priest does the same Tiruvaradhanam with the same Mantrasanam, Alankarasanam, all that. And why are they attaching so much to the Divyamangala Vigraha, Archa Tirumeni? Because Perumal is there everywhere. He manifests inside and outside of everything and everyone. But we are not able to comprehend, we are not able to see that, we are not able to even understand an iota of it. More often than not, we do not even recognize that. So, Perumal, out of his compassion, has taken the 5 forms: Param, Vyuham, Vibhavam, Antaryami Rupam, Archavatar. Param in Sri Vaikuntham as Paramapadanathan. Vyuham in Kshirabdinathan, Parkadal. Vibhavam, Ramakrishna, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha Avataram, Nrasimha Avataram. They are all Vibhava Avataram. Then Antaryami, he is situated as an Antaryami, the indweller, in each one of us in a small form, along with the Jivatma. And that also, all these things we cannot comprehend or see. But the Archavataram, he manifests himself, he comes down himself and enshrines in accordance with the Agama, in accordance with the codes, the Pancharatra Agama, or the whatever the respective Agama, the Shaiva Agama, or the Vaikhanasa Agama. Based on the Agama, it has been consecrated in those deities, Divyamangala Vigraha. So it is exactly equivalent to Paramapadanathan, if not better. Because why I am saying better? Because he can be seen by us, he can be enjoyed by us, he can be visualized by us, and consumed by us. We can have an insatiable nectar in Srirangam, in Tirukudandai, in Oppiliyappan Sannadhi, in Tirumala, in Kanchi, everywhere. And that is a blessing. And because the daily prarthana of every devotee is the uninterrupted flourishing of the Kainkaryam, of glories of Perumal. We say, Srimanna Sriranga Sriyamarbhadrava Anudinam Samvartaya. Sriman Sriranga Sriyamarbhadravam Anudinam Samvartaya. The uninterrupted flourishing of the bounties of Sri Ranganatha, which is also applicable for every Archavataram. So, Kaveri Vardatam Kale Kale Varshatu Vasavaha Sri Ranganatha Jayatu Sri Ranga Srischa Vardata. We pray for the rain god to ensure timely, adequate showers, for the Kaveri to be running in full. I hope so. Beneficial flow, for the fortunes of Sri Rangam to be on the ascendment, to be always fertile, so that Sri Rangaraja could always reign, could always rule happily and shower his grace on each one of us. So it is applicable for all Archavataram, same thing. And so the Tiruvaradhanam is carried on without interruption. It should be carried on. Due to the paucity of time, due to the paucity of funds, we can do it in a minor fashion, mild fashion. But we should. Please forgive me for my indulgence. It is only to reinforce as a reminder for myself. So, Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. Adiyan. Dhanyavad.